Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on Edward III, and we get to hear from the French mariner again today in Act 3, Scene 1. We're almost done with this scene, I promise. So in this scene, we started out with sort of an assessment of where the French and the English stood in terms of allies and preparedness for this war that they're going to have over the fact that Edward believes that he is the rightful heir to the French throne. And of course, France says, no, you're not. And then the war started a little bit earlier than they anticipated. While the French were sort of taking stock of things, the English Navy showed up, and King John was like, oh, please tell me that our Navy is actually fighting them back. And the French mariner was like, yes, they are. And the king said, great, go check on that battle, and if you survive it, come on back and tell us about it. So the French mariner left, and then King John sent some of his guys to get their troops ready to go, while he and Philip sat and had a meal, had a snack, had a sandwich, something like that, and talked a little bit more about war. And as Philip was getting excited about the cannon fire and all the noise of war, yesterday we had King John going through the, yes, isn't war exciting, to the, oh no, retreat has been sounded. Please don't let it be the French. Please let there be a way for us to salvage this. And the French mariner came back in, and King John was like, tell us what happened. And the French mariner says, I will, my lord. My gracious sovereign, France hath ta'en the foil, and boasting Edward triumphs with success. These iron-hearted navies. When last I was reporter to your grace, both full of angry spleen, of hope and fear, hasting to meet each other in the face, at last conjoined, and by their admiral, our admiral encountered many shot. By this, the other that beheld these twain give earnest penny of a further wrack, like fiery dragons took their haughty flight, and likewise meeting from their smoky wombs sent many grim ambassadors of death. Then 'gan the day to turn to gloomy night, and darkness did as well enclose the quick as those that were but newly reft of life. No leisure served for friends to bid farewell, and if it had, the hideous noise was such as each to other seemed deaf and dumb. Purple the sea, whose channel filled as fast with streaming gore that from the maimed fell, as did her gushing moisture break into the cranny cleftures of the through-shot planks. Here flew a head dissevered from the trunk. There mangled arms and legs were tossed aloft, as when a whirlwind takes the summer dust and scatters it in the middle of the air. Then might you see the reeling vessels split and tottering sink into the ruthless flood until their lofty tops were seen no more. All shifts were tried, both for defense and hurt, and now the effect of valor and force, of resolution and of a cowardice, we lively pictured. How the one for fame, the other by compulsion laid about. Much did the Nonpareil, that brave ship. So did the Black Snake of Bullen, than which a bonnier vessel never yet spread sail, but all in vain. Both sun, the wind, and tide revolved all unto our foemen's side, that we perforce were fain to give them way, and they are landed. Thus my tale is done. We have untimely lost, and they have won. So this is the French mariner painting a picture of war. And this is actually a pretty gory picture of war that's being painted here. Oftentimes in recounting of famous battles, people just talk about how valiantly so-and-so fought and how glorious he looked in his armor and that sort of thing. But he's talking about, fiery dragons and beheadings and limbs torn from bodies, and that the sea was turning purple because there was so much blood spilt into it, and how ships were just torn apart and sinking all over the place. And it's a fairly gruesome picture of this war that was going on. And I think that it's also interesting that we get to hear the recounting of this battle from the losing side, because, you know, they say oftentimes it's the victor that gets to tell the history and tell how the story goes and how the story falls out. But here we get to hear the losing side describing what happened in the historical battle, in the historical context of everything. But he's like, by the end of this monologue, the French mariner is like, there's really nothing that anybody could do but sort of get out of the way. So the English have landed on French soil, and that's all I really have to say. And King John is like, oh, that's really bad. Okay, I guess we gotta go to war on land now. Let's go fight them. And that's the end of Act 3, Scene 1. So far things are looking good for King Edward. I mean, he may not be getting the Countess of Salisbury, but his army his navy anyway, beat the French navy in this first battle. And we got to see what happens now that landfall has been made. And we'll dig further into that if you come back tomorrow for more. I'll see you then. Mwah.